Okay, this is going to be my entry for the Functional Print Friday YPipe Viewer Challenge, and I figured I'd do a video to walk through what I'm doing. And I came up with an approach that is arguably sort of cheating because it's using extensions, Onshape script, feature script extensions, actually only one. But I don't think it's really cheating because it's a very useful extension. In principle, you could write an extension to generate this entire shape in one step. But that would be cheating. We're not going to do that. But I will abuse this extension a little bit to try to do this in fewer steps. So let's start out with a sketch and try to fulfill the specifications of the challenge. So the challenge said that the pipe starts, you have to have a straight section that's at least, I think it was 45 millimeters. Did I get that right? Yes. Now, I'll explain this later, but we're going to add another straight section and make it 25 millimeters. And then we can do a curved section. There's this interesting thing Onshape does that I only figured out pretty recently, where if you hover over the last point, it alternates between straight lines and curves. Mostly this has been annoying to me up to this point, but let's see if we can actually make use of it. So I can do that, and then I can do it again and get another curve. And we want it to be more or less vertical, so I'm going to kind of put the center point to the right. And then we have a section straight up. Actually, we get to choose. Do we want it to make it tangent or vertical? Let's make it tangent. Press escape. Then I can constrain this to be vertical. I can make this distance be the 45 millimeters we wanted for a straight section. And then we'll press E and make these two equal. Okay, and then another dimension, we had that the total height of the thing was, I think, 250 millimeters. So let's do that. Final thing is we want two of these, and I'm actually going to create them in one shot. So I'm going to mirror across this line, and we'll get these guys. Now I can go back to dimension this and get our spacing, which was, what was it, 120 millimeters. There, fully constrained. That is the center line of our two pipes. Now I think a normal approach to this would involve, either, what do you call it, extruding along these paths, or perhaps lofting to get the two different shapes. And then you'd have to draw your end circles separately in separate sketches in the appropriate locations. I'm going to make use of a feature script extension that lets us do these extrusions, sweeps, with circles in arbitrary places. So we can put them in this drawing. So let's just stick it over here somewhere. The bottom pipe has an OD of 101.6 millimeters. Top pipe, quick trick, you can point to some point and then go horizontally, and you get a horizontal constraint. So we're going to just put it over here somewhere. This was 106.25 millimeters. Okay, there's our two ends. We're done with the sketch. Okay, now for the tricky bit. I'm going to use this extension called Pattern and Sweep, which I think you can find if you search. Here we go. cadsharp.com/featurescripts. CADSharp has a bunch of nice feature scripts that extend the functionality of Onshape's basic primitives in ways that are useful, and this is one of them. So what this does, actually I'm not sure what round faces does. We're going to switch to along curves. It's the same as sweep but more flexible. So we can select, let's start with this guy. Select our profile. We got to do an extra step, which is to select a profile origin mate, and that defines what part of basically the location that we're going to sweep from. So we can say we're going to sweep from the center of that circle, and notice the Z direction, the blue line is perpendicular to the circle. Now we can say add a sweep, so this will be sweeping that shape along some path. And we can select some curves. So we're going to go here, 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 here. You notice it doesn't work yet. Error regenerating. We did an origin mate. This is where that mate connector for the circle is going to be located at the beginning of the sweep. So we can stick that at the bottom there, and poof, we got our sweep. So far, we could have done this with regular sweep, and we'd need 2 sketches, I think. But the pattern sweep can also do multiple sweeps, so we can do 2 steps in one here. Let's actually we can just select the existing mate connector. So we're going to start in the same place. And this time we're going to do this segment, this one, and this one. Now we have roughly the shape we want. It's actually generating 2 parts, but we can go up here and say add instead of new, and it will actually union those together for us. So there, 2 steps, and I've kind of almost got the right shape, except these top pipes are supposed to be a little bigger than the bottom pipes, and that makes things complicated. We could probably do something with lofting, but then we need a bunch more sketches, I think. So instead, let's pattern and sweep again and take this shape, and we're going to do that from the top. So this gets kind of awkward because it's in the way, so we can just hide it. And we have to say along curves, add a sweep. We're going to start up here and sweep that along here. And I'm going to actually include this extra little straight bit, and you'll see why in a bit. So we got 1, add another one. Oh, whoops. I forgot to... What's going on here? Oh, I got all confused. I don't like these multiple selection boxes. We tried to do 1 sweep there. We need to do this new one. Okay, so again, we need an origin, mate. Mate connectors are really powerful. You can do a lot of things like use them to define the plane that you're going to sketch on. They're very useful. Okay, so let's add this. Actually, we need the straight section in both paths. I suppose it doesn't matter because they overlap for the end. And again, we're generating multiple parts. We got to go up and change this to add. And we can set the merge scope to this earlier part. Let's show it. Merge it with the earlier part. There. Now we have this thing. Let's hide that sketch. Now the specification said wall thickness of 3 millimeters, so we can use the shell command. Set that to 3 millimeters. We want to open here, here, here. Done. 4 steps, and we have something that I think technically meets the requirements of the contest. It's 106.25 millimeter OD at the top, and 101.6, was that? Oh yeah, 101.6 at the bottom, and 3 millimeter wall thickness all the way through. But it's got this step in it, and boy is that ugly. So I think I got it in 4 steps, but if I were actually going to print this thing, I would try and get rid of that step. And here's a quick way to do it, and only add 1 more step to our pipeline, which is to abuse the chamfer tool. I bet there are other approaches to this, but this is what I came up with. So if we chamfer along here, and I measured earlier, the difference between the outer pipe and the inner pipe is just over 2.3 millimeters. So we can do that. Oh good, I got those right. And then remember we had a 25 millimeter extra straight section. Let's just make it 24. Then we can increase the size over that straight section. I did try doing it up here where they're splitting and everything gets very ugly. Anyway, do that. Stick our shell command back in, and now we have a Y pipe that actually has smooth sides all the way from one end to the other, and where the diameter increases relatively smoothly rather than suddenly. So that is a 5-step solution to the challenge. If I were doing this for real, I'd probably try to make these transition more gradually. I did play around with lofts to do that, and it gets kind of annoying. You probably want to, because you want the top and bottom to be perfectly straight, you probably want to use extrude for those, and then loft from the faces that are left along some guideline, and pretty soon you have a lot of steps, which is presumably the original Functional Print Friday approach. Anyway, there you have it. That's my entry. I will share this on Shape document, and hope that was helpful. Okay, thanks. Bye.